Hello everyone and welcome back to Greenpine Zoo and Gardens, and welcome back to our cat house in which we are going to continue to build today. In last week's episode we started with our first small cat, which was the palace cat that got a new home in our cat house, a new modern-ish home. I told you guys in last week's episode that the plan was to renovate the house a little bit, so we do have a combination of some more old school indoor habitats, and then we do have these newer renovated ones, more modern looking ones for some of the small cats, and maybe also for some of the real big cats, which are probably or most likely going to move in within next week's episode, because next week's episode is going to be the tigers. So I'm thinking about maybe Bengal tigers or the Sumatra tigers. We don't have Sumatra tigers in the game. The Bengal tigers or the Siberian ones. So let me know in the comment section which one you would like to see more, Bengal or Siberian. So here's the palace cat habitat that I told you about, that we created in last week's episode, and in today's episode we are going to continue with another small cat habitat right next to the palace cat. And yeah, surprise surprise, but it's not that big of a surprise, you already have seen the thumbnail. Tomorrow is the day when the new animal pack, the America's Animal Pack, is going to be released for Planet Zoo, and therefore I thought it would be great if we would add the cat that is in the animal pack, to have a home for it in our cat house. So first of all, I was a little bit disappointed because I thought there's not going to be a cat or anything that we could actually have in here in this animal pack, but then after the announcement I saw perfect, the Ocelot. An animal that I wanted to have in the game so bad for all the South American animals that are still missing in the game. Not that much anymore, but still. And yeah, I'm very excited for this animal, for the whole pack I have to say, but especially for the Ocelot. And therefore the sand cat is not going to get a habitat right next to the palace cat, but I already told you guys that we do have at least one spot left right next to the caracal where we could actually put in the sand cat as well, which also would make a little more sense because the sand cat is more of a desert animal, more Arabian, African kind of animal, so it would make more sense to have it right next to the caracal than actually right next to the palace cat. But as I'm talking about, would make more sense geographically, the Ocelot doesn't make sense at all to be right next to the palace cat, but I wanted to have it in here. And to be fair, we don't need to be geographically correct all of the time. So as long as we don't mix animals from different continents in the habitats, I think everything is fine. So first step was very much like copy and paste. So we do have a very similar layout, or a completely similar layout for the indoor habitat for the Ocelot. The outdoor habitat is a little bit different, but yeah, not so much, because you will see it in a few minutes. It's going to be a completely square unit for those small cats. so nothing too special, but we are going to take care more of the inside of the habitats, the layout, the terrain, the decoration and stuff like that, like we always do, or most of the times do. Yeah, so I said it in the beginning, once this is finished, we are going to continue with the first habitat that is really a big habitat, because we are going to have our first big cats in here. We already do have the Amur leopard, but we are going to continue with the tigers, and I'm very excited for that because this habitat is going to be quite different. We're not having something like we do have for the leopard or for the clouded leopards, and definitely not something like we have for the small cats. So I wanted to have a more like an open habitat for the tigers, and I'm thinking about something in the style of the habitat that we do have for the sloth bear. So I wanted to have something, two habitats that you can actually put together, but you can also separate the animals. So two habitats that we can make as one or not. And I still have to think about if I actually want to have two habitats. So maybe we have one single animal in one habitat, maybe a single male, and we do have a pair of the tigers in the other habitat. So yeah, I just don't know right now, but that's a thought process that I'm in right now. So here you can already see, especially for the outdoor habitat for the Ocelot, we do have, yeah, once again, copy and paste to make that happen. So completely easy. Never change a winning team, and I wanted to have those smaller habitats to look quite cohesive or quite similar, so that they would actually make sense and that everything comes together in the end and works out. I really do love how the house looks right now. It's massive. It's massive. And I have to come up with some ideas for the inside of the house, because I do have so much space in there between those habitats, especially when you, right here, right next left to the palace cat, when you enter it, you have this huge entrance area. So I was thinking about something that we could put in there in the middle. So I don't think that it would be possible if we would have some kind of an animal habitat in there. But yeah, you guys could let me know if we do have animals in the game, or which animals are the ones that need the least space in the game. So that actually might be an option, that we could include something like this, like a small habitat inside the house. Would be great if it would be a carnivore, because that would make the most sense. So something like the meerkat or the fennec fox would also be possible, but yeah, I don't know which one of them does need the least space. I would think it would be the meerkat, but yeah, you never know with those needs of the animals in Planet Zoo. Because I have to tell you, the habitat for the Ocelot is quite big, combined the indoor habitat and the outdoor habitat. But the traversable area for the animal is quite interesting. So lots of the plants don't work for the animals, so they can't walk to certain areas, and they also do need lots of space. They are so small, but in the end, once this habitat is finished, and hear me out, it's about 200 square meters big. The traversable area is 200 square meters big. The actual habitat might be double the size, I think. And the animals would need, let me lie, 900 square meters. So totally ridiculous. So therefore the animal needs are not quite matched, but the animals are okay with it. So yeah, I made a few changes. They do have everything else they need, just the space is a little too small. They have enough climbing frames, they have enough water and stuff like that. So yeah, they are okay with that, but yeah. I just wish that some of the needs of the animals in the game would be a little bit more realistic. Realistic in terms of what you would actually see in a zoo. So, don't get me wrong, I'm always here for giving the animals more space than they actually need, but this is a zoo game. And the reality is that some animals in some zoos don't have that much space, as it is required here in this game. So, well, yeah, here you can see the artificial pool. I wanted to have a waterfall feature in here as well to make it look a little bit more tropical for the animals. Yeah, unfortunately, because of the traversable area of the animals, they are not able to use the pool on the lower side of the habitat in here. They can actually use the climbing frames that I put in there in a few minutes, so they can get right next to the pool, but they can't use it. But they will have an additional pool on the outside habitat, and they are absolutely fine with that and can use that one. Oh, and what was fascinating as well is the gate that we do have for the Ocelot here is a little bit higher, I think, than the actual gate for the Palace cat. But it is the same size, the same, yeah, it is as wide as it is for the Palace cat. But the Ocelot was not able to walk out there. I was a little bit disturbed when the animals arrived, and I looked at the traversable area and it said it's like 17 square meters or something like that. So yeah, it was a bit weird, but I changed it in the end. I made it a little bit wider, and now the animals are able to go to the outside as well. So, building some climbing frames for the animals. And I told you in last week's episode, we don't have any mesh fence pieces on top of the habitat for the Palace cat, because I thought the Palace cat is not a great climber, or doesn't climb that much, so we don't need any netting on top of it. We're going to change this for the Ocelot. I didn't want to have this for the Sandcat as well, because I thought the Sandcat is also not a big climber, pretty similar to the Palace cat, but the Ocelot definitely is, and we do need some kind of netting on top of the outdoor habitat, so I did something like that in the end of the video as well, so that we won't have any problems with the possibility of the Ocelot escaping and hunting our visitors. Well, I don't think it would do that, because a human being is way too big for an Ocelot, so I doubted that they would actually go for a hunt for a human being, but yeah, you never know. So, I already told you guys about the new DLC, and maybe you have already seen the showcase that I put online 1 hour ago on my channel, where I was telling you guys and showing you what you can expect from the new DLC, what building pieces are in there, and what else you can expect from it. And all of the new animals and babies as well, for sure. What are you excited for the most? So yeah, let's get through it. We have 7 new habitat animals, which are, let me look through it, the bighorn sheep, the Cuba flamingo, which are 2 animals that are most likely just a reskin of the Dall sheep and the greater flamingo, which I don't mind at all, because let's be honest, Dall sheep and bighorn sheep are pretty similar. They do have different fur, but yeah, by the looks they look pretty similar. So I'm not mad that it's more like a reskin. So, okay, as well as the Cuba flamingo. Then we do have the coyote, the greater rhea, which I'm very excited for, because I always wanted to have something like a huge South America pampas habitat with all of the South American grassland animals, like the greater rhea, the capybara, the giant anteater, the tapir, what else? Alpaca or llama. Both would make sense and would work in those habitats. And yeah, I'm looking forward to build something like that in the near future. Maybe here in Greenpine Zoo and Gardens, where we haven't thought about the South American area yet, but yeah, at some place it might take place. At some point it might take place. So the greater rhea. We also do have the bush dog, which is such a great addition. A very different animal, nothing that we do have in the game like it. I'm very happy with it, and it's pretty cute as well. Then we do have obviously the Ocelot, which we are building a habitat right now, and we also do have the white-faced Saki, which is a primate, a monkey, which is also pretty cool. And I love that we do have another smaller monkey in the game, because we don't have that much. And especially with monkeys, we didn't get too many monkeys in the past. So we do have lots of different cats and canines and pigs. We do have so many different pigs in the game, but not that many monkeys. So I'm very happy that we do have one more species in the game. I wish we would have a little bit more, because there's so many South American monkeys that would make so much sense in the game, especially the howler monkeys, which we do have a silhouette for the wallpapers. Still not in the game, might be coming at some point, I hope so, because I don't think that this was the last DLC that we got. Yeah, spider monkeys, squirrel monkeys. So many of them that are still missing in the game, and I hope that we will get some of them at some point. But as I said, very happy with the white-faced Saki. Okay, so creating the outdoor habitat right here, putting some pebble stones in between the bigger rocks. And then we are going to build some climbing frames for the animals, get into the planting, make sure that the roof for the outdoor habitat has some netting, and then we're doing a little bit on the backstage area on the inside, just a little bit, because the space between those two habitats for the Pallas cat and the Ocelot is very small, so we don't have the chance to do too much with that. I think we are going to work a little bit more on it when we are building for our tigers, because we do have more space in there, but on the inside here between the small cats there's not much space left where we could, which we could work on. Yeah, and then we do also a little bit of decoration on the inside. We're having some showcases once again, like we do have right next to the clouded leopards with the I don't know the word in English, I have to Google it once again. Haven't done that in a long time, I think. Showcase. Well, showcase is the correct word. Display case, showcase, case. Yeah, I just copied those around so that we do have two more right next to the small cat habitats. So that we do have a little bit of decoration in there. I used some props from the new DLC to fill up the South American showcase, which you're going to see in a few minutes, and also some of the Asian props right next to the Pallas cat habitat. And here I built something like an elevated rock feature, because I wanted the animals to be able to go over there right next to the visitors, so that our visitors can see the animal pretty close. Therefore I used the animal enrichment item, the blood one, the scent, blood scent, I think it is called, so that the animals do actually feel the need to go there and sniff a little bit and come close to the visitors. And I really do love to create some of those small habitats for the animals, but yeah, as I already said, the down part of it is that this does cost so much traversable area when you do the planting in there. You have to take care that the animals do have enough space to roam around, and yeah, it's pretty difficult. As I said, I love it totally to create those small habitats, but for animal needs it is pretty difficult. Wouldn't be that way in a real time or a real life habitat, because the animals would actually be able to walk under the plants or over the plants, but yeah, that's not the case in here. Maybe that is something they have to think about at Frontier when they working on Planet Zoo Part 2. So that something is going to be a little bit more realistic, so the animals would actually use the space where the plants are and can walk under the plants, or yeah, just push them aside or whatsoever. Giving it a little bit of a used look as well. Decal and dirt pieces. And now we are going into the backstage stuff. As I said, there's not much that could have been done in here. Just some working materials here and there, and a little bit of decoration, and that's it. Yeah, so here we go. Backstage area finished, and now into some decoration on the inside. As I said, I just copied the showcase here around for 2 times, so yeah, that we fill up the space a little bit. And just put some of the scenery pieces in there. So as we were talking about the new DLC, the America's Animal Pack, what do you guys think is still missing in the game? Which animals do we need still in the game? And I'm not talking about fish or birds. We all know that we need some of them in the game, but at this point, after almost 6 years that this game is out, I think there's quite 0 chance that we would get fish or birds for this version of the game. Maybe for Planet Zoo Part 2, but definitely not for Planet Zoo Part 1. So, what animals do you guys think are still missing and are so much needed in the game? As I already said, I think we need more monkeys in the game, so there's still room for them. When we're talking about continents or special areas, I'm not quite sure. But I think we could have something like, we do have the North Africa DLC, which included the white rhinos, the meerkats, the penguins, and what else? The fennec fox. I think something like an South Africa or East Africa DLC would be great. We could have the forest buffalo, for example, for East African DLC. And what else? I thought it would make sense to have an East African DLC, because I was thinking about so many animals that are still missing, and now I can't think about some. The serval. The serval would also be a great addition. There's still some small cats missing. Yeah, just let me know in the comment section what you guys think. What would make sense for another DLC, or do you think there is going to be another DLC at some point? Well, with that being said, we are done for today's episode. The Ocelot has moved in. We are going to have a look at the animals and the habitat. I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. Once again, if you did so, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on next week when we are going to build for some tigers. Tell me which one you want to see, the Bengal ones or the Siberian ones. And yeah, leave a comment. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hope to see you guys next week once again. Have a great week. Bye!